What's going on, guys? You got your local ham sandwich here with a highly requested Centur-Ion combo video for you. I've been getting a lot of comments and requests about learning this deck and how it all works and all that, so I'm happy to bring that to you guys here. I'm really in love with this deck. I think it's my favorite deck in years, so I'm just happy to show you guys how to play it. Before we begin, I just wanted to say a big thank you for 100 subscribers. I know we're slowly climbing up to almost 200 now. But really appreciate all the support you guys give me. This all started as just a small hobby thing, and I'm glad it's kind of growing into something bigger than that. But if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button and like the video. Share it with a friend who maybe also wants to learn the deck and all that. Yep. So let's go ahead and jump into the one-card combos here. All right, so starting off with our first one-card combo, we're going to start with just Primera and the discards. So all these are really 1.5 card combos. Mostly, but remember, you can also start any of your combos that require the monsters with Emblem Oath. You can also get to the field spell with this, so this can act as Primera, as Trudea, as stand-up in your starting hand. It's just your Swiss Army knife for your one-card combos. So keep that in mind. You can replace this with the normal summon in any of these combos. So we're going to start by normal summoning Trudea or Primera, activate her effect. We're going to search the stand-up, and then activate that stand-up effect, do a blank discard, and then we are going to place Trudea effect, special, make her level 8. I always do that just in case she gets negated. I think I could still summon a level 12 there, but in this case I'm going to activate her effect, put her back, and then we are going to place Gargoyle. And then we're going to activate Gargoyle effect. You can modulate her to 4 here, but you're trying to go to your 12, so don't do that unless you want to go into Packbit, cover Packbit later. And then we're going to Synchro Summon for our 12, which is of course now the Centur-Ion Auxilla. So we'll go chain 1 Auxilla to search, chain 2 Gargoyle, add back to hand. That will chain block Auxilla if the opponent is trying to hold an Ash Blossom. So we'll put Gargoyle back in the hand, and then you have a couple options of where you can search here. I will usually search for the Phalanx for an extra interruption and also follow-up in case I have to use the interruption and then I still get Auxilla removed. I can bring it back to keep searching for follow-up. Or you can also search for Emmet because in the following turn, we'll kind of hold these off as our options here. In the end phase, we can do Primera, and then in the following turn we will be able to use these two during the main phase. Once our opponent establishes a card on the board, make sure you're not doing Crimson into a blank board. That always plays into Imperm. And then here we have 4 and 8, so if we have Emmet, we can do the classic combo, Emmet, put Trudea back for more follow-up, and then synchro with these into Crimson Dragon. Keep in mind, there he is. Keep in mind that is 5 summons. Or I guess once we do Crimson Dragon into Calamity, that will be 5 summons. So you can stop your opponent from activating cards on the board, but they can totally wipe out your board with Calamity, or with Nibiru rather, if they are playing Nibiru. So just something to keep in mind there. I think Nibiru is kind of falling out in popularity, so that may not be as big of an issue, but just to be safe, I will usually just search the Phalanx for an extra interruption instead of the Emmet, because against Snake Eye, that can you can banish the Flamberge before they can get their combo going, or against other decks where they have a really important combo piece, maybe a tuner, where they're trying to synchro summon or something like that, you can remove it before they can get to their synchro or whatever play they're trying to do. So there's a couple options there to keep in mind. All right, so for the combo for Trudea, like I said, any of these 1-card starters you can use Emblem Oath for, but Trudea specifically, you also have the option of playing Bonfire to make Trudea more accessible. If you play Bonfire, that means Trudea is most likely going to be your more common combo. But of course, Bonfire is not incredibly necessary for the deck. You can play Prosperity, Triple Tactics, even Desires, just other consistency cards. So keep that in mind if you do or don't play Bonfire. So getting into Trudea, we're going to normal summon her, and then we are going to activate her effect, place her in the back row, and then put in Primera, activate Primera special, Primera search. In this case, we are going to then search the Wake Up Centur-Ion. We can then activate that to summon a level 8 token. We'll go for the Unicorn Gundam in this case. And then Wake Up will go to the graveyard. In this case, before I Synchro Summon, I will usually go for the Wake Up, banishing it to send Bonds to the grave. Now, I have had a couple times where players that just don't know the new Centur-Ion cards will blank an Ash against the Wake Up because they're not sure what I'm going to send, which will kind of serve the same purpose here because we're trying to put Bonds in the grave to chain block our Auxilla. But if they prevent Bonds from going to the grave by ashing the Wake Up, then they've already kind of used the Ash up in the way that we were trying to prevent anyway, so they can't ash Auxilla in that instance. So we're gonna go for a Synchro here. We'll make Auxilla, so we can go chain 1 Auxilla, chain 2 Bonds, banish Bonds, target Primera. And so that's going to chain block Auxilla, and then we can search for the stand-up. And then you have no really need to activate stand-up's place effect, you just activate the card. If you have some extenders, perhaps you have a Primera in hand you didn't normal summon yet, and you used, you got Trudea through Emblem Oath, and you have a normal summon, you can extend further here, but we'll go into some of that kind of stuff later. But that is the Trudea combo, so then we'll go pass it over to our opponent. Their turn, they establish a card, we go 1-2, make Trudea an 8, boom, boom, and then Synchro and search, doesn't matter what you search here. Usually I will search Trudea or stand up for follow-up. And then we're gonna go Crimson Dragon. Ask your opponent if they have any new quick effects on a new chain. If they say no, you want to make Crimson Dragon chain 1, then you activate him. Bounce back for Calamity. Always want Crimson Dragon to be chain 1 because of how Calamity is worded. It's a if when or when if, something like that. If you summon Crimson and they are forcing your out, so you summon Crimson, they go Mourner immediately, you can just bounce into the, that's not the right card. You can bounce into the Blazar instead, which is, obviously you want to turn skip, but if you have to go Blazar, you can. It's dependent on what they're trying to do when you summon Crimson. If they have no interaction, you always prioritize Calamity. But if they have some kind of quick effect that's going to try to negate or destroy Crimson, you're just forced to chain it and go into Blazar. Of course, Blazar is an Omni negate, so it's really still a good card, but of course you want to prioritize your Calamity. I will usually try to use Blazar as my second Crimson Dragon summon if Calamity goes through. But sometimes the opponent will force you to use Blazar first. Alright, so the last 1-card combo, keeping in mind that Emblema and Bonfire will get you to the other combos, and Emblema can get you to this combo too, is going to be Stand Up. Of course, you can also use Terraforming to get to Stand Up as well, so you have 4 copies of Stand Up in your deck. Always play Terraforming in my opinion, you just want to maximize consistency. So we're going to start with Stand Up. It's very similar to the Trudea combo, so we'll go Stand Up, and we'll activate the effect, sending a card for cost. We're going to place Trudea, and then we'll just pretty much do what the last combo was. We'll Trudea, into Primera, summon Primera, search, Wake Up, summon the level 8 token, Wake Up, banish, send Bonds, and then Synchro. Chain Auxilla, chain 2 Bonds. In this case, Auxilla again can search probably Phalanx or Emmet, or if you really need some sort of follow-up. Of course, this doesn't use normal summons, so you really can, if you have a bunch of extensions in your hand, say you already have Gargoyle in your hand, you can search another Primera. And so let's see what that looks like. Yeah, so let's say this is a 2-card combo. Let's say we have Stand Up or Terraforming. We've got to this point in the combo, we already have Gargoyle and Primera in our hand. One of the two. Auxilla is going to search the other one. And so then what we can do here is we can have Gargoyle send Trudea to grave. It's a special Gargoyle, and then we can just normal this Primera for no effect. And then we can use these two for a Synchro Summon, and we can go into the Crimson Dragon, and you have an option here. You can end on the Crimson, pass the turn, and then Calamity Lock in the draw phase. Once again, keeping in mind that if you do that into a blank board, and they are holding Imperm or they draw Imperm for turn, they're vulnerable to Imperm. But you can do that. Or you can just use Crimson Dragon now, go Crimson Target, and then you can make the Blazar for a negate to stop anything that might stop your next Crimson summon. Because in the end phase we'll go Auxilla effect. Your option here is either Trudea or Gargoyle, it doesn't really matter. Let's go Trudea in this case. And then we'll pass over to the opponent. In their main phase, they will establish a card, go 1, 2, make this level 8, search and synchro, and then once again, Crimson on a new chain if they have nothing, Crimson target. I'll always target the Auxilla, because if you target Blazar and they try to use an out, and you want to negate it with Blazar, Blazar will leave the field, and then Crimson will no longer be able to fully resolve. So always target your Centur-Ion if you've got Blazar on the board. And then, of course, Calamity. Yeah, so that's pretty simple. Let's go ahead and look at some other 2-card combos here. Okay, so one combo to keep in mind, especially if we get interrupted, is going to be Stand Up plus Trudea or Stand Up plus Emblamas, Terraforming Trudea, any combo of those 2 cards, you know, anything that's going to get you to Stand Up and Trudea. You can also do this with Primera, but with the Primera combo this way, usually if we're normal summoning Primera, she gets negated and we have Stand Up, we're going to go into Trudea for an 8 and then go into Auxilla. But in this case, we're going to practice how to go into Enigmaster Packbit for some sort of play. It's not going to get you to a Calamity Lock, but it is some sort of interruption. So we're going to normal summon Trudea. Let's say she gets hit with an Imperm. She's level 4, so we want to then use Stand Up, and we're going to pitch a card, and we're going to place Primera and then special Primera. Now, whether or not Primera gets negated here, let's adjust the camera. Whether or not she gets negated here, let's say we search Phalanx as some kind of follow-up. We only have level 8 on the board. Of course, you can, if she doesn't get negated, you can search Gargoyle, and then Gargoyle pitch Trudea, and then you can go into Auxilla. But let's say they both get negated. Let's say Imperm and Ash. So we only have level 8 on board. So we are then going to go into Packbit. And then Packbit effect on summon. This will require 2 discards. We will place Primera in the back row. And we can pass over to the opponent, and then on their turn, summon Primera, search follow-up, usually a Stand Up or a Trudea. And then we can then synchro these into, it's, in my opinion, better to go for Legatia in this case. You can draw potentially a hand trap, and then you can pop a card, depending on where you do it in the combo. But you can go Legatia 1, Packbit 2, discard another card from your hand. Of course, this requires a lot of discards. But then Packbit goes to the back row. So in this case, actually, with the Primera search, you do want to search Emmet. Let's pull Emmet out of the deck here, because this is going to give you a little sort of resource loop. So now Packbit's in the back row, Legatia has been used up. Let's say they want to remove Legatia. Well, okay, you go Emmet from your hand, put Legatia in the back row, special Emmet, and then on the next turn, potentially your opponent couldn't punch through the Emmet, or they just established a board, but you survived. On the next turn, it doesn't matter what phase you do it in, Packbit can summon Legatia for another interruption, draw a card, destroy a card. So in this case, Legatia has drawn us 2 cards. This could be more follow-up. Of course, in that case, Legatia loses its end phase place back, so you do kind of want to draw follow-up more than anything, but if you don't, you can draw hand drops to potentially interrupt your opponent. But the idea here is you've got a bit of a resource loop, and if possible, maybe Emmet gets removed again, but Legatia stays on the board. On the opponent's turn, once again, Emmet can place this in the back row. Packbit can summon it out for another interruption. I just want to play it in a way so that Emmet keeps getting cycled back to the graveyard. Say you drew follow-up, you could use it as a synchro material or as a link material into SP. You could just keep going back and forth pretty much, looping your Legatia pop. So that's a combo just in case you get hand trapped with access to both of your 4s. Most of our other 2-card combos are going to involve our tech cards here. So since we have Auxilla now, Auxilla can summon, or rather can place Centur-Ions from the banished pile now, so we don't really care too much about Dimension Shifter anymore, so we can now play it. Keep in mind, Shifter is a bit tricky in this deck, that's why I side it versus main it, because if you see Shifter plus Primera, Shifter plus Stand Up, plays become a bit trickier because Primera wants to go into Stand Up and Stand Up wants to start on its own. Each time Stand Up has to send a card for cost to graveyard. Well, if you activate Shifter before that, then unfortunately it's not going to work. Because anything sent to grave for cost while Shifter is up cannot activate. Think Veiler, Droll, Ghost Ogre. But what we can do if we see Shifter plus Trudea, which can also be Bonfire and Emblem of Oath, so that's 9 of your 1-card starters. Any of those can really use Shifter quite effectively. So there's 2 ways you can do it. Of course, draw phase, you can always just shotgun Shifter. Never really hurts, especially if you see these 2 over just normal summon Trudea, because when you activate these, they're going to go to grave, and that'll put a card in the grave first, so you won't be able to activate Shifter. But let's say in this case, we have the normal summon Trudea, and we're going to hold the Shifter for now. So we're going to go main phase, normal Trudea, and we're going to go Trudea effect, place Primera, summon Primera. That's going to be the standard Trudea combo, Primera search, wake up, activate wake up, get our token, and then before we synchro summon, we are going to use the banish effect of wake up to get to bonds, and then we will synchro summon then. So we now have Auxilla, so we'll go chain 1 Auxilla, chain 2 bonds, target Primera, banish bonds, place Primera, and then search stand up, and then what you know it, we now have a blank graveyard. So if your opponent hasn't forced out a cross out from you or anything else, you can, it's kind of funny, you can hold Shifter until mid combo to catch them off guard. Keep in mind you want to assess your hand when you draw your first 5. If you have Shifter cross out and starter, or Shifter bonfire, or Shifter emblem oath, you may just want to shotgun your Shifter immediately. Or if you're going second against a deck game 2 like Snake Eye or something that you sided Shifter in, there's no point in holding Shifter. You can just throw it out in your opponent's draw phase. And then this is just the standard Trudea combo, so we activate that. And then we pass it over to the opponent. We want them to establish a card, and then we go Crimson Dragon into Calamity. Same old, just adding a Shifter on top of it, pretty much. Yeah, so the next couple 2-card combos are going to be ones that were requested in the community tab for some commonly used tech cards, ones that I don't use, but you can certainly consider in your deck. So let's hop into that. And then by far one of the most highly requested combos that I've been asked in the community tab, in comments, on Facebook groups, is going to be Shadow's Light. Now I don't personally play it because I do think it's a bit bricky. It does play into Nibiru, but it is a bit more explosive than what our normal combos provide. So let's say we go normal Trudea combo, we go normal effect, wake up, summon the token, banish wake up, go for bonds. You can do this with the normal Primera combo as well. I'm just going to illustrate with the Trudea combo just because it doesn't blanket discard. And then we'll go Synchro, should be on top, yep. Auxilla, Auxilla 1, bonds 2, target Primera. And then we're searching stand up, and activate stand up. And so that was 4 summons. This is part of the reason why I don't play Shadow's Light. It's just because it is playing to Nibiru. That's 4 summons, so if your opponent has Nibiru in hand, it's dead. But say they don't have Nibiru, or you have cross out for the Nibiru if you play it that way. We're going to activate Shadow's Light, and we will target our Auxilla. So in this case, we can summon a level 12 light dragon from the extra deck for free. We'll get Crimson Dragon, And then Crimson Dragon, you can either, again, wait here, go to the draw phase, Crimson in draw phase, target Auxilla, and then go in Calamity in draw phase, keeping in mind you could play into an Imperm there. Or we can go Crimson here, and then we can make Blazar once again to protect our place. And then on the opponent's turn, you're fully set up for a Calamity lock. And then, of course, if, let's say this combo, you could make this combo go even crazier. Let's say you had Emblama Oath, but either you have Emblama Oath, you haven't used normal summon, you have like a Primera in hand, or you have used a normal summon, but you have more gas in hand. Say, for the sake of the argument, let's say we have both Gargoyle and Primera in hand. The Shadow's Light, you can banish it to normal summon again, normal summon your Primera, Gargoyle, send Trudea, make another 12, you can make Final Sigma, you can make a Legatia, whatever you choose, again, keeping in mind, once you have Blazar on board, not so much, but you are playing into Nibiru. Something to keep in mind there. But yeah, Shadow's Light, very explosive card. You can even play it with Bestials, go into Malong, the Golden Cloud Beast, which is really funny, because if you go Druistorm and Malong, they can make Legatia and remove 3 cards from the board. But yeah, if you play Bestial, maybe you have a more reason to play Shadow's Light. But keeping in mind, again, Shadow's Light does play into Nibiru, so that's why I choose not to play it. But it is a very explosive tech card, in my opinion. Another common tech card I see ran a lot. I haven't personally tested it. I think it's a bit bricky, but it is also, again, quite explosive. It's going to be Synchro Rumble. If you didn't know, Crimson Dragon actually has a search effect on summon. You can search for any card that mentions itself, and this does that. So this is a common card people use to sort of extend through getting Primera back on the board. Of course, since we have no second tuner now, it's a good alternative to recycle your tuner. So let's go into that combo now. So the combo is going to be stand-up plus Primera, or Emblama Oath, or Terraforming for the stand-up, because you want to have Primera as the normal summon. And a discard, of course. We have our other 3 cards in our hand here. So we're actually going to start with our stand-up. Pitch a card. We are going to go for Trudea. We'll go for Trudea effect, go for Gargoyle, summon Gargoyle as a level 8, normal summon Primera for no effect, and then we will synchro into on top. Crimson Dragon. So we'll go chain 1 Crimson Dragon to search, chain 2 Gargoyle, add back to hand. So we'll search Synchro Rumble, and we'll add Gargoyle back to hand. And then we'll go for Synchro Rumble, and with special Primera effect to search. We're gonna go for a Bonds, and then we'll go Gargoyle, send Trudea to special. And we will go for another Synchro Summon here, and this is where we're gonna go for Auxilla, Auxilla effect to search. In this case, I would probably search for Phalanx for Interruption. What you can also do here is you can search for the True Awakening if you choose to play it. I don't, it's a bit bricky. I think the non-starter engine pieces, I think I want them always to do something. So if I'm drawing Phalanx alone, it's Interruption by removing a body. If I'm drawing Bonds alone, or if I'm drawing Bonds plus other monsters, I can use that as extension. True Awakening, you need a monster in your back row, and if you just draw it with no way to get a monster in your back row, it's a true break. So I don't play it, but it is an enemy negate if you do choose to play it. But in this case, I'd probably just search Phalanx, and then we can go for the Bonds to place Trudea. And then, of course, once again, we can choose to hold our Crimson Dragon here for the draw phase, or we can go Crimson Dragon effect and go into Blazar to just insulate our board, and then end phase, Auxilla, place back Primera. Bonds, probably could have used that to set up one more back row, especially if you're playing True Awakening. I think that would have probably been a good idea. Bonds on the summon of this to place the Gargoyle, so you have just an extra body as your cost for True Awakening. But if you're not playing True Awakening, it's not entirely necessary. You can hold it for later in your combos, or later in your game if you need to. All right, in our last combo here, we're going to cover, once again, another common card that I've tested. You'll find a lot with these tech cards. A lot of them can be bricky, and the way I'm trying to build the deck is just efficiently have as few bricks as possible. So some of these I don't really play, but again, they are options. It's going to be our little candle boy here. Again, this only works if you play Bonfire, but it is similar to Poplar, so actually Bonfire, you can search this and then summon it immediately. It's a level 4 tuner. Similar to Rumble, where it's just a way to work around not having a tuner, or not having a second tuner yet. Now this combo can turn Bonfire basically into an extender no matter what your combo is, but I think it works better with Primera, in the sense that that combo will get you more access to your extra level 8s. So we're going to go for the normal Primera combo pretty much. We're going to go normal Primera, search, stand up, activate stand up, and then we'll pitch blank. This could also work if you see both of these plus Bonfire. It's a 3-card combo. Don't always want to rely on 3-card combos, but it does work. Just gives you more flexibility in your hand. Stand up effect, placing Trudea effect, going for the Gargoyle effect summon, make it level, or keep it level 8, and then synchroing, of course, into our Auxilla. We'll go chain 1, chain 2, and then I will search for the bonds in this case, because I am going to lose one of my monsters in the back row, so I think bonds is going to help me get back into it here. Plus we don't have to search stand up since we started it with the combo. So then we can go for Gargoyle, sending Trudea, and then we'll go for Bonfire, searching Agnimal Candle and summoning Agnimal Candle. And now of course we have a Synchro 8 on the board, and we can go into Crimson Dragon. Now, same as all the other combos, you can hold Crimson Dragon for the draw phase, or you can go Crimson Target, go into Blazar, insulate your board. And then finally, just because we aren't going to be able to get back one of our 2 materials for the next turn, otherwise we'll go for bonds. And in this case, I'll grab Trudea. You can go for Gargoyle as well, doesn't really matter. Then in the end phase, Auxilla can place back Primera, and then you are set up for a Calamity Lock if you didn't already hold the Crimson Dragon. Alright, I'm going to give you a quick deck profile here. I'm not going to go too much into detail since I just yapped about a lot for quite a long time. It's already a pretty long video. So, 3 Primera, 3 Trudea, 1 Gargoyle, 3 Stand Up, Terraforming, 3 Emblem of Oath, and of course I play 3 Bonfire. Your standard starters plus your 2 extra 8s, and then your other non-engine, or your other non-starter engine pieces, Wake Up, Bonds, Phalanx. And then very quickly, the non-engine, we have 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Mourner, 3 Ghost Ogre, 2 Veiler, 3 Droplet, the 3 Cross Out plus the Called by the Grave, and the 3 Infinite Impermanence for 42 cards here. Really quickly, just choosing not to play Nibiru in the main deck, because I think the rest of these are a lot more impactful as hand traps, especially against Snake Eye. They can just play straight through Nibiru, but if you have any combo of these, it's a bit more impactful. Main engine, of course, hasn't really changed. Still choosing to run Droplet, because your post combos, you have just free material for Droplet on the board, and then playing Cross Out for all the common outs for my board, and then not playing Nibiru. Like I said, a lot of these tech cards are going to play more in Nibiru, so I choose not to play them to play into Nibiru. So if I'm not playing into Nibiru, I play Nibiru less as a cross-out target. It is in the side deck, though, for some rogue matchups that just kind of crumble to it. And then for the extra deck, currently I'm still only playing 1 Auxilla, 2 Legatia. Ideally, I would flop these ratios because Auxilla is just more important now, but I would like to get a second Quarter Century Secret Rare, and I don't have that yet. So we're just going to do that for now. In my opinion, it is better to run 2 Auxiliary 1 Legatio. And of course, a Crimson Dragon package, and our extra 12 is Final Sigma, just for boards that can't out at towers. And then for our level 8 package, since level 8s are a bit easier to make now with Wake Up and Gargoyle, we have the Scarlight Packbit as I covered in the combo, and then Chaos Archfiend for sneaky OTKs, and then the Chaos Angel to be summoned off of the Chaos Archfiend. If you play Bestials, you can just hard make Chaos Angels sometimes, but I don't play Bestials, so it's just for the Chaos Archfiend target. And then I play Super Poly in the side deck still, so we have Mud Dragon, Garura. I'm running Earth Golem for any of the boards that end on Apo and IP, or perhaps Battle Phase against Snake Eye. I can take their Raging Phoenix and one of their Zelantis or their Promethean Princess, and then the SP, of course. And then lastly, for the side deck, as I mentioned previously, I am siding the Dimension Shifter. I think it's a bit better on the side just because if some of your starters require just a cent for cost, and Shifter is just going to shut those off, but you can catch Snake Eye off guard game 2 and 3, and other graveyard decks like 2 Elements or what have you. 2 Nibiru, this might become 2-dimensional barrier, but I'm mostly just playing it now for decks that kind of crumble to Nibiru, something like Salamangreat or some other rogue matchups. In the long run, I think barrier is probably going to be better, especially for Tenpai, so, and as a crossout target going into game 2 and 3, so this may become Dimension Barrier. And then we got the Feather Duster and the 3 Cosmic for back row hate. Super Poly, as I mentioned, and then evenly matched to round out the side deck. A lot of breakers, but I feel like the main deck going first is strong enough, so you can kind of adjust that minutely. If you're going first but going second, you can kind of have a bunch of options to adjust how, or I guess for whatever deck you're playing against. But yeah, that is going to do it for the deck profile, guys. I appreciate you sticking around for the end for the deck profile. Thank you once again for 100 subscribers. Let's get to 200. If you're not already subscribed, click that subscribe button. Like, comment below with any other questions you may have about the deck. I'd be more than glad to answer them. There may have been a combo I missed, so if you have a question about some sort of combo, I can certainly answer that as well. So see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.